Caleb Williams. I read, I've told people before, I think Tyler Dunn's newsletter is really, really good. Like, shockingly thorough to be a newsletter. It feels more like a magazine than anything else. And buddy, they brought the hammer down on the Caleb Williams era. On the Bears in general, though I think Ryan Poles, the general manager, is probably one that catches it the worst. It did feel like a lot of scorned people were offering up their information, but the particulars on Caleb Williams as a figure in the facility and in the locker room, I don't think we can leave alone for now. What I did find to be interesting, though, was their expression that he didn't seem to be one who listened too much or took too kindly to coaching. But number two, what seemed to be very clear was he was dropping back and didn't know what it was that he was looking at. Like, I did not realize he took 68 sacks last season. And I am a firm believer of the Aaron Schatz theory. Sacks are a quarterback statistic. You took 68 stats. And you go look at just about any quarterback and go look at their stats every year, the numbers are going to be clustered. They're going to be the same, right? Those lines aren't always bad. No, some guys just take a long time to throw. He takes a long time to throw. I heard people say they thought that he looked very good in the first half and then he looked worse in the second half. I did not think he looked very good in the first half. I thought it looked like he was dropping back and checking down a lot and not realizing some of the things that may have been available down the field. And then in the second half, Brian Flores decided to be like, all right, enough fucking around, and decided to get into his head. But I don't know how much cause there is for optimism with where the Caleb Williams experience is going to go. And I'm also not sure if they're coaching to what he does best, but I have a hard time believing Ben Johnson, with his big brain, would be so locked into what he's doing to not try to make some level of adaptation to the quarterback that he has.
Yeah, and that's what I've been curious to see. This is where I know I joked about the preseason stuff that I was trying to extrapolate from. All right, what did I see in the preseason? All right, now what I see in week one. And Ben Johnson, I do have trust in. I do think this guy is very smart. I do think this guy's very thorough. And I do think he's the right coach for Caleb, because some of those guys have personalities. Like a guy like Caleb, and again, I've never met Caleb Williams, I've never met Ben Johnson, but just context of stuff or just reading of the context is some of these guys that have big personalities and maybe reportedly think they know it all and give coaches hard times. They're kind of like a toddler testing boundaries, going like, can I get away with this? Can I get away with this? And sometimes those guys, they don't think they like hard coaching, but they need hard coaching. They need a big personality to kind of get after them and hold them accountable, not let them go away on any BS and everything. And so what I've been trying to look at is Ben Johnson seems to be trying to find plays that work with Caleb. Caleb is shorter. He's sub 6'2". And if you just look at the history of the game, and I know everyone just always gets mad at me when I bring this up, short guys don't throw it over the middle. The only one that did is Drew Brees. And actually the one that does it the best right now is Bryce Young, who does not look good overall, but he can at least throw over the middle. That is just the weakness of being short. It's not batted balls. It's that. But when you run what I think Ben Johnson wants to do, a lot of runs, play action off the runs, down the field stuff. Play action works best with stuff over the middle, because that's what you're affecting with a run play is the linebackers coming up, the safeties coming up. So then you attack behind them. It's just physics. But if you're not attacking over the middle, all right, what are we trying to fake at? What are we trying to affect here? So Ben Johnson to me seemed like he was doing more outbreaking routes, because then, okay, Caleb has got a hose and was thrown to the outside. Outside throws are a little bit more space, less mistakes happen. If I miss, I can just miss towards the sideline. Throwing over the middle is harder. If I make a mistake, tip ball, pick. If I make a mistake, it just at a guy's feet. A guy can get batted down by a linebacker. All these things can happen. There's more risk, but there's way more reward. But the thing with Caleb is he's missing those throws. And that's what's scary to me, because I'm a guy, I'm a little different to you. I have a little more optimism with Caleb, but I thought it would just be a little bit more than what we saw in this game. Because the opening drive, yeah, there's one or two moments, but then like you said, there's some scramble moments or check down moments. And that's what I can't wait to watch when I rewatch this game later this week, film wise, is that what was the back end looking like? Is it just because you weren't anticipating and that's why it was closed and that's why you're checking down? Or are those guys truly covered? I'm going to guess that he wasn't anticipating, because just the rhythm of the plays. I think Roman Dunze is a good player. I think DJ Moore is a good player. I trust, again, what Ben Johnson's designing. So yeah, there's a couple times I'm sure he made the right decision. It's good that he's going through the check down and good that he's doing those things. But man, it's 3 seconds or less. Like that's how quickly you have to make a decision as a quarterback. And it just seems to me it's 3.5 for him, 4 for him. Great that you can do all this creation stuff, but like, man, he still has to get better from the pocket. So that's just I got to rewatch this game. But the first half, that first drive, opening script, yeah. But when the defense adjusted, they started sending blitzes. Like if you put that on tape that you can't handle blitzes, hold on to your hat because here comes the heat every single week. And that was like the discouraging part about it, I thought.
Yeah, I think for me, I get the feeling I felt this way about Baker Mayfield, though they are very different quarterbacks. But Baker Mayfield to a lesser degree, but he was college athletic.
Yeah. And
you know what I mean?
He still thinks he's athletic.
Yeah, but he had athleticism that it took to make plays in college.
That's a great point.
I think that Williams had the athleticism to make, and if you're going to play off schedule, or more accurately, I don't think the issue here is playing off schedule. The issue is playing late, right?
Yep.
Like if you're going to be running late, you got to really have this added dimension to be able to pull that off and still be good. Case in point, Cam Newton, a touch late, but with the arm that he had and the body that he had and everything else, he was still throwing dudes open, right? Still making it happen at that point. I feel like the athleticism that Williams had, I mean, I'll never forget that first game, the game they took over Spencer Rattler against Texas, and he was jumping off the screen with that athletic ability. I think Deshaun Watson at his best is a great example of this, of a guy that was college athletic. Now you're going to have to play a bit more on time to get this done. And I don't know, quarterbacking way better than I ever would. Is that something that like how often somebody becomes that?
They got to be in there. It's got to be ingrained because they've won. Every quarterback wins differently. And that's what I know. I'm not just explaining this to you, but just, and I think that's the misconception is that even like, this brings you back to the Jalen Hurts conversation where it's just that everyone, is he a top 10 quarterback, top 5 quarterback? And the argument is there's others that can do what he does well, but then other weakness, everybody has a weakness. All these guys have a weakness to it and they have a way to win. And the fact that Caleb so far in 5 years I've watched him has been winning the exact same way. And then he comes into his second year as the pros trying to win the same way. That is a little scary. They can get better though. Like I do think you can get better, but the thing is he's always going to have this in the back of his head. This is my, I call it the freak conundrum, like not conundrum, but like the freak threshold. Like if you're going to win that way, you have to be big or you have to be fast or you have to have an arm because that's where traits come into play. That's where size and arm strength. And like you said, Cam Newton would be a second late and have that elongated motion. Doesn't matter. He had a hose. Boom. Hit it right up there. A guy I always bring up when I'm on the show, Dante Culpepper. Okay, he was very accurate, but he could be a little late sometimes. Guess what? He's 260 running a 4.6. So it didn't matter. He could shed a sack and create a play off that. That's where traits come in. This is the Shedeur Sanders argument as well. Why I was low on Shedeur, why saw him not take a hold of any reps is because he wasn't very big, didn't have a very strong arm, and wasn't very athletic. That gives you room for error if you do make a mental mistake, if you are mentally a little bit slow. That's what those traits do. Purdy can play like Purdy because he has Shanahan who's letting him get rid of the ball right away. Same with guys like Goff. Those guys have to play on time. So I do think Caleb will speed it up, but it is a little worrisome that this is still just in his moment or still in his kind of head to play this way if the first read isn't perfectly open. And then he wants to progress. There's times where I see him moving and progressing, but he's not shortcutting anything. And that's the next step to NFL quarterback play is yes, technically plays go 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 sometimes, but really I shortcut it to the 3 because I know it's cover 2 and I have to get to the backside dig, or it's cover 3 and I know they're doing this, and that, so I have to get to this route. Like that's what the advanced guys do. Watch freaking Matthew Stafford play this weekend and watch him shortcut everything. And last thing though, tying in with Baker, Caleb also throws the ball way too hard. He's got to tempo that stuff down. And
he's that guy. He's Sean Dunston.
Oh my God. And that's what Baker does too. They throw everything one speed as hard as they freaking can. Penix is like this as well. Everything as hard as they can every time. And gotta have a little layering. Gotta have a little bit of touch on these throws. You gotta be able to throw a changeup or a curveball just to help yourself out.
So it's funny you put Penix in there because I was just about to say, short guy behavior. Kyler Murray on the same list. He's pumping. He's firing. He's throwing some pepper every
Mm-hmm.
time.
Baseball player. That's it
Yes.
too. Doesn't throw over the middle either. That's actually who, when we in the prospect stuff, I liked him as a prospect. I was a Drake May #1 guy, which everyone made fun of at the time, but now everyone's gone like, oh, Drake, I had Drake May at #1. It's like, yes, BS. I kept notes on it. I have a list of this of everyone that got after me. Was when Caleb was coming out, I was kind of saying what his, with their high end comparisons, with their middle comparisons, with their low end ones. My middle comparison was like, it's kind of like a big Kyler. Like that was kind of like what I think he most likely ends up looking like. And I'm watching him, I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'm seeing a lot of big Kyler, but he's also not throwing the deep ball like Kyler does. Which
That's what I was about to say.
That's also concerning.
Like, here's the problem: Big Kyler is like John Elway. Like Big Kyler is like the greatest quarterback that you've ever had. But I still say what makes Kyler Murray not good, or that's not fair, but not what we want him to be, doesn't feel like size problems. He gets all the stuff. Like he is so fast, his arm is so strong, all of that, right? There's just something there.
He can be a second lead on stuff. Yep. I'm a Kyler sympathizer. Because he wants to be a real boy. Like he wants to be a real quarterback, and it's just like this weekend's game was frustrating. If you're down on Kyler, this would be a good one to rewatch back. But it was one of those where it's just like he can't just always just have a consistent game where he does it all perfect. He'll have a drive or a half where it's like, there's a quarterback right there, and then he takes a sack in the red zone, or takes a sack to put on third down to knock you out field goal range, and you're like, come on, Kyler. I need you, buddy.